Hey everyone, welcome back to the Winner's Circle. I'm Derrick,
And I'm Cody.
and we're here right after the 2 hour episode of the BB latest eviction and a crazy episode. Cody, thoughts? What are you thinking right now? I just tweeted about it.
I mean, I don't wanna ruin the ending of it because it was so great and that twist is incredible and I cannot wait to see how this plays out. But man, oh man, they dragged that hour and a half out until the last like 30 minutes. I was like, come on. We needed two
Yeah.
hours for this. Like I thought it was gonna be something quick, like with the double eviction, and they were gonna play this whole thing out. Right. I thought that double was gonna be like, oh, we're not gonna make you live in the backyard. So let's play it out quick. You're gonna go in the backyard, you five are gonna be back there, you five are gonna be in the house. You're not gonna know how it happens. Quick double eviction. Cody was wrong. It was an hour and a half of fluff. And it was just it was really long, but then they brought it all together with that twist, I thought.
Yeah, the twist was epic. I love the twist. I tweeted it. They always hype you up for these twists, and then a lot of times they're kind of a letdown because they're limited at what they can do in there. But this twist lives up to the hype. This is a game changer. It may work out where it doesn't have much of an impact, but it was set up to. They really wanted to try to shake up the house a little bit,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine not talking to my number one ally for a whole week in the house. Like, I imagine me and you in there where it's like, what the hell's
We were
going on? You
picked
don't
on
know
other
if you're
sides.
you don't know if you're coming, if I'm going to see you again or you're going home.
Right.
It's an actual twist, and it really can have an impact on the game, all kind of basically on how the house is split up. The only thing I'll say, and I'm sure we're going to talk about the twist more, is although it has some impact, the HOHs are picking their teams essentially.
Yeah.
So they're obviously going to pick people, because here's the thing. We were talking before we started recording, like, who would you take? And I was like, oh, maybe Michael takes Brittany first. But now I'm thinking maybe Michael should take the person that he knows he wants to get out first, so he can make sure that's one of the targets.
That's a great point. That's a great point. But here's the thing is that you have to be so strategic in who you
Yeah.
pick because you need to make sure that not only do you have your target in there, but you also have the votes. And it is
Yeah.
such a small number of people competing in the veto. Like everybody's competing now. So it's like
Yeah.
there is so much that goes into this. There is going to be so much strategy that has to go into who you pick, why you pick them, because I mean, just the blanket part of why did you pick me? Why didn't you pick me? Why didn't
Mhm.
you pick me? Why did you
Yeah.
go in with these people? Is that like it dude, this throws such a crazy twist, but we'll get into that at the end of the episode because there's so much more that I want to talk about with that. But before we get into that, we had a Taylor HOH week, right? Taylor was the outcast. Taylor was like the underdog story that finally became an HOH. And we were sitting here and we were like, this is going to be a big week for her. How is she going to take this HOH? How is she going to run the week? And I'll go first. I was like, Taylor, you were losing me on so many different aspects. Like her in the beginning of the week, her process of going through who she wanted to nominate, it was like coming down to like, oh, I can nominate Turner and Monty. It's like you want to nominate people in your alliance, like you wanted that to happen. I guess like you remember how you felt when that happened, and then it was like she had Terrence as a target. Then it went to Indy. Then it was going to be Alyssa. It was just like all over the place. And I was like, Taylor treated that HOH like a power, like one of those rookie power craving HOHs that gets the power and just is like, I'm in charge now, and everybody has to listen to what I want to do. And I was like, girl, what is happening?
Yeah. No, it wasn't a great HOH. Fortunately, it didn't work out bad for her. I
No.
think it was an
Yeah.
okay HOH. She's someone who, to her credit, does listen to other people.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's going to benefit her long term, but she does want to kind of go with the consensus. But as multiple people have pointed out, even house guests in the house, she went from initially wanting to target Terrence, then she changed it to Indy, then she changed it to Alyssa just in 1 week. So that's a lot of people to be kind of jumping around at. Kyle brought it up in the episode. Obviously, he had an ulterior agenda as
Yeah.
to why he didn't want that, but
Right.
maybe we'll get there. But no, I would say if I had to grade Taylor's HOH, obviously A plus being perfect, I'll give her a B minus. Too
Generous,
much?
bro. Generous.
Yeah.
She gets like a C minus from me. She almost wanted to target Alyssa for the sole reason of she took the vacation from her. And I mean, there's other reasons, obviously, to target Alyssa. There's strategic reasons to target Alyssa because Kyle is completely blinded by Alyssa. He is not going along with the alliance. But I'm not, like, genuinely, none of that was even in the forefront of why she wanted to target Alyssa. It was almost like that, like, power stricken, like, I'm the HOH, like, you're going to take my trick from me? I will nominate you. And now I'm going to nominate you. And the other people started giving strategy to it, like Michael. Obviously, Michael's just a strategic, brilliant mastermind of a player. Monty was almost like touching on it, but it was like the initial part of the reasoning why she was doing it was just petty. And so that's why for me, I was like, girl, you get a C-.
Don't let me take you for a class. I'm not going.
Bro,
there.
I'll give you an A+, homie.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, listen, I was just basing it off of she got out someone who wasn't really that loyal to her and would have eventually targeted her. So at the end of the day, it was messy in between. She got someone out. She didn't waste her HOH. There's been some HOHs where you end up the person you're mostly aligned with is the one, your number one goes home.
That's an F though. Like that's why she's not down there. She didn't fail the week.
Yeah.
She just didn't. I mean, she got somebody outside of the alliance out. That's good. You know what I'm saying? But the way she went about it was like, it just would make people like, if I was working with her, I'd be like, what is going on here? I can't do this. I'll work with her as much as I could, but
Terrence don't care. Terrence don't care that he was on the bus. He's like, whatever, man. That's all good. He just doesn't care.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out because your boy has some power this week.
Yes.
So
all right. So
we have the
let's
Taylor
run through
HOH,
it.
right? That kind of plays out. Indy goes home. But there was something that they brought in today, which was a pretty big segment because a lot of conversations were happening on Twitter surrounding Kyle and Kyle mentioning that there was like possibly, is there possibly a Cookout 2.0? A lot of people on Twitter were very angry about this.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
But we mentioned this last year. Like I said this at the end last year, and everybody could not like it. You know, you can have your opinions about it, but when an alliance does what the Cookout did and was so violently under the radar, that it was like jaw dropping when people were finding out about it. And that's just an alliance. Like take the reasoning and the mission away from it, which I'm not trying to say that in the sense of like, oh, don't look at it, because it was really important what they went in there to do. But what I'm saying is you take that type of an alliance that had something, you know, it was for a bigger cause. It was them staying together because of there being people of color and not having a person of color being a winner. They went that route. Now it's almost like hard. Like I know for me, if I went in there, I'd be like, is there a Cookout 2.0? Could that happen again this season? I wouldn't be like pegging it like kind of what we were talking about earlier, like what Kyle said, where he was like, oh, they could all be working together. It's like, well, hold on. Let's not go that far. That's where I think people are not happy, right? Like people are like, what do you just all of them are working together now? Like Taylor just threw Terrence on the block. She threw Indy on the block. Like, why are they all working together? What do you mean? Where's your basis for that? That's where I think he's getting some of the heat.
So here's my take on it. And I'm going to refer to the conversation with Brittany and with Kyle. And first off, I agree with Brittany in the sense that you can't just assume. You can't just assume because it's been done in the past because you're seeing people who look similar to them that they're automatically going to work together. That is a subconscious bias. That is, I don't want to say the word racist. I know everyone throws that around. That's a serious word.
Yeah.
But at minimum, it's a bias. It's something that it's not right. And I'm glad that Brittany brought it up and said, hey, listen, we can't just assume they're working together. Completely agree. However, there was a point during that conversation, and I don't know if this is what she meant, but she said to Michael, I believe, not Kyle, and she might have said it to Kyle too. I can't remember which segment it was in, but she said, if it divides that way, if it comes down to that, and it does divide that way, I can't be a part of that.
Yeah.
So here's my interpretation of it, and way down in the comments below.
Yeah.
If I'm in the house, and for whatever reason, regardless of what society thinks, if one side of the house makes a clear attempt or a clear move on me that those individuals are working together, like it's not even speculation anymore. I'm not assuming.
Right.
They've made it clear. They've drawn the line in the sand where it's very evident who's working with who. And if those individuals are trying to get me out and they happen to be people of color, Doesn't matter to me. If I know for certain that they're coming after me, I'm not going to roll over and just let you vote me out.
Yeah, that's
So
almost what it seemed like, right? That Brittany was saying.
I don't know if that's what she meant. And that's why I'm putting it out there. She just basically, or she could have meant, if that's how it's going to divide, I don't want to be part of that divide and I'm not going to participate.
I think maybe that's what she meant. Maybe we'll see.
But then what do you do?
Yeah.
But then if you don't want to participate, if they make it clear that they're together and it's you or them, then you have to. Most people are playing the game not based on skin color. They're playing to get ahead and they're playing on strategy. I think that's the majority of the people in there, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what she meant by that exactly, but there's no clear indication because they're technically not. I mean, they're loyal to each other, but there's not a Cookout 2.0, right? There's not.
I mean, the only thing that would cause maybe Kyle was saying stuff last week, so there's really, Kyle's just kind of been doing this. He's kind of been saying a lot of things that have been rubbing people the wrong way, but
and it's more than that too, right? There's some stuff with his family member, and we're not going to go there, but there's some stuff that's come out that people are really on him, and there might be something there. Listen, people come from different cultures and not all of them are correct, and they're brought up certain ways. And sometimes when you go into that house, you have a certain mask that you wear initially. And as you're in there a long time, your true feelings come out, and that's how people get exposed. So we're not sitting here defending Kyle, I mean, at any means, but that was one thing about it, that Brittany thing where it's like, Brittany, you're a super fan, and I understand you're not going to assume, and good on you. We're here. We support that. But if you learn at some point that you and Michael are on the opposite side of a house, and it just so happens, not because they're trying to replicate the cookout, but let's just say that those individuals start to work together because they like each other. Just because of optics, are you not going to play the game to your best ability just because you're more concerned about the outside? That's unfortunate if that's the case. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you. And it's
Am I explaining that right?
You definitely are. You're explaining in a way where it's like, ultimately, like, what did you go in there to do? Like, you're not saying like that's how you would play it. You're saying that if you saw like there's a clear line in the sand, like that's what's happening. Like the Cookout did it so incredibly, where that they did this on purpose, which is why they are one of the greatest alliance to ever play the game. They never wanted that to be the case. But if it is the case, like the Cookout never mentioned things like what has happened this season, where Taylor just straight up said, I'm not nominating Jasmine. I don't want to nominate another Black woman. Like Taylor's vocalized that. So if I'm in the house, I'd be sitting there and I'd be like, okay, so what does it come down to? Like, if I'm there at the end and Jasmine's still in the house and Taylor wins and it's me, Jasmine, and Taylor, like, am I shit out of luck? I've been working with Taylor this whole game. Jasmine's been dragging Taylor. So like, is that how I would take that is I'd be like, I don't know. Either I would have to immediately target Jasmine, and then does that make me look bad? But because it's like, that's where the strategy comes into play. But it's like, the outside may view things a certain type of way. Like I know Amira mentioned to me in her exit interview that she felt very betrayed by Monty because Monty used, if I'm going to go home, I want to go home to like a very strong Black woman, like I view you. And Amira took that like to heart, like that meant something to Amira. And so then when Monty voted her out, she was like, why would he say that to me and then do this to me? So it's like that was circulating, that had gotten into the house. I'd seen that be mentioned by Kyle. And so like, there's a lot of stuff that is now in this game because of how last season went, right? And that's what I was nervous about. And I said it last year, and not necessarily I was nervous about. I just was sitting here saying, like, if something like this happens next season and there's somebody voicing concern, let's not just jump to conclusions. Now, everybody does their deep dive into social media and into other people's families and all that stuff. But like, I'm just saying Kyle has said some things where it's like the thing today, it's like, well, does that mean that Jasmine, Terrence, Indy, Joseph, Monty, and Taylor just have this connection together? And it's like, well, no. Like, what do you mean? Like, Taylor literally threw up. Taylor threw up Terrence and Indy, wanted to target Terrence, then was trying to target Indy, and then Alyssa pissed her off. So it's like, but like, Taylor wasn't going towards Alyssa until she pissed her off. But it's like, I don't know where that really came from on his end, because Taylor was showing everything like kind of opposite of that. So that's where you got to play the game like how you were saying. If it's a clear line in the sand, it's like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? Roll over? But you got to be smarter about how you're going about it, because you can't just assume that the same thing that happened in a previous season is happening this season, because that doesn't happen, right? That doesn't happen.
No, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. That conversation with Michael and Brittany was very interesting, and I hope that what Michael and Brittany were saying is, hey, listen, we're not going to be responsible for drawing that line in the sand because of assumptions.
Right.
We're not going to take part in
Totally.
that. It's
Yeah.
not a good look. We're not going to do it. It's bad optically, and it's personally just against what we believe in. Good on you. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
However, if by some chance you learn definitively that they are working together and that they're going to go after you, and you decide just for the sake of the optics not to play the game, when I can speak for Michael, he's played a great game. I would be disappointed in that, because you're there to win, and Michael has the potential to be one of the better players to ever play the game.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. I mean, listen, optics are tough.
Yeah.
You and I were playing 16. You can vouch for me on this one. He was a friend of yours, but we all knew in the house, even though we're locked away, that Donnie was a fan favorite and that America was rooting for him. There was a competition, I've said it numerous times, where he literally beat you guys, and the producers behind the wall were cheering, dude. There was like an applause.
Yeah.
And we were like, what the heck is that about? And so we knew that like America was voting for him, and I knew it was kind of me against him. But at the end of the day, when I had a chance to get him out, regardless of the fact that I knew America wasn't going to like it, I knew what I was there to do. So I did it. And I hope that when it's all said and done, all of them play the game the way it's meant to be played. And they play it because of the strategy that's being implemented, the characters that you've worked with all season, and ultimately vote and strategize the way that's best for you, not based on the way people look or what their personal beliefs are. Just play the game.
Yeah.
And Kyle definitely needs to pull back on what he's doing, because
also
he's not coming off good.
No, but you also saw last week with Terrence, like Terrence was trying to send Taylor home. Like, and Kyle was a part of that.
Yeah.
He was seeing the conversations, because he was like, okay, we all see what's happening. So that's where it's like he's got to dial it back a little bit. You can't just
100%.
be paranoid, unjustified. Like paranoid. Let me say that again. Not paranoid unjustifiably, because people are just paranoid like crazy. But it's like when you're going to go that route and you're going to try to peg that, especially in the climate that we're in, you better hit the nail on the head. You better hit the nail on the head, or else you are going to get crucified. Yeah.
And he's not. That's the problem. And he's not, right? Like, he's wrong. There's not this like new Cookout 2.0 that he's like inferring. And that's what makes it even worse.
Right.
Because he's assuming, and his assumptions are wrong. So I'm glad Brittany checked him. And like, can't say it enough. Glad Brittany checked him. But for the sake of the game, I hope that if something is definitively pointed out and that you realize, hey, these particular individuals are planning on voting me out of the game, then you respond.
Yeah.
You respond and try to keep yourself there. And it's not about just being a fan favorite. You want to win the game.
Yeah.
Did we cover that? I think we covered that. We covered that.
I mean, that was, I feel like that was a big thing. That was like all over Twitter. I feel like we couldn't shy away from it. And listen, guys, weighing down below, there was a lot of things that the both of us had to say. We're really interested in just having the conversation, because I know there was things, there's aspects to this that are really delicate. And I'm not afraid to have these conversations. I'm not afraid to like give my opinion, even if it's something that's different. I think we're pretty much on the same page, but I said this last year and I just was like, the Cookout happened. Are we just going to crush somebody if they're nervous that a Cookout could happen again in the future, when they just watched one of the greatest alliances of all time blow through a season? So that's where I was like, I was waiting for it. And honestly, the season seemed like it wasn't going there. And then all of a sudden we get like 5 weeks in and we have somebody mentioning it. So way down in the comments, let us know what you guys think. Is Kyle, is there a bias behind it? Do you guys think there's a bias behind it? Or do you think he's just paranoid because of what he's seen in the past? Or even is that a bias? Like, there's just, this is a different conversation.
I think the assumption definitely could be an implicit bias. And definitely weigh in. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm more interested to hear what you guys think about Brittany's comments, because we all come to see who the best Big Brother player is.
Yeah.
And if people are more concerned about how it looks optically as opposed to what's the best game move for them, well, we're not getting the best player. We're just getting the person who's willing to play the game regardless of what people think, because there's going to be certain people in there making decisions. It's kind of a nice metaphor for that chessboard segment today, right?
Yeah.
Like, what the right move is.
Yeah.
But because you want to display a point of weakness and you want people to think you're someone you're not, both Michael and Joseph were literally trying to compete at who was dumber, who was worse at the game.
Yeah.
And so you're not really understanding who's the best chess player, because they're both pretending to be someone they're not. And so I hope when it comes down to it, when lines are drawn in the sand and it's time to see who the best Big Brother player is in Big Brother 24, they all just play the game and put aside what they believe people might or might not want them to do in the outside world. But definitely weigh in about Brittany's comments, because I gave you both angles. only she really knows what she meant by it. But I'd be interested to hear what the majority of you guys think.
Yeah, but also there's not $750,000 attached to that chess game.
Right, exactly.
Or
and
could
yet
there
you're
be?
Still saying,
or could there be?
Maybe that's the twist. The person who wins the chess game first. No, it'll be good. It was an interesting conversation. It was good. I think they have to show it. Obviously, you know, it's part of, if that's what someone like Brittany and Michael are basing their decisions off of, and that could come up later in the game. Well, they got to set it up now.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm glad they did it.
Yeah. So that brings us that covers kind of like, that's why I feel like this was it was dragged out, because in the beginning they had some fluff. They had all this stuff from the veto that they had to show. This segment was a really important segment, I felt like.
Yeah.
And so then they had to do
the rest is costumes and shit.
Yeah, the costumes in the play. It's like, I don't even know. It was, I don't know. That stuff to me.
Skip.
Yeah, bro. If I wasn't watching it live, I would have been like, fast forward.
I was like 15 minutes behind with the DVR, and I was like, perfect. Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
Skip.
Yeah, that was tough. But now it brings us to our absolutely incredible beast of a segment, the hit list segment.
Yes.
The hit list segment.
I was like, where's he going with this?
Like it would be like the hit list segment. We have something coming. It's like,
well, just pretend, guys. Just pretend.
You know, we need to get a little bit better, or maybe we need to just like hire somebody that like does that for us. Like, hey,
for real,
give us like a brick thing, smashing together, boom, hit list.
I'm sure it's pretty easy.
We just come back in. What's up?
Dive right into it. Starting at the bottom. We're gonna keep it going what we've done before, because the bottom people really, in our opinion, in case anyone hasn't been familiar with the hit list, you want to be at the top of the hit list, because if you're at the top of the hit list, that means you're playing the best game, which means if Cody and I were in there, that's who we'd be gunning for first. So if you're at the bottom of the list, you're not doing good. That's not a good place
you
want to be.
Coming to the end.
That's right. You'd be coming to the end. Exactly. So not too much of a change. Obviously, Indy went home tonight, so a lot of the bottom people just moved up. So we have Alyssa coming in at number 10. We have Jasmine coming in at 8.
9.
And I'm sorry, I apologize, 9. And I'm actually going to stop at those two, because the others we start to get some movement. But those two, self-explanatory. They're there, but they don't really know what's going on.
Yeah. Jasmine, and the perfect example of this was Jasmine talking with Joseph, saying, you go ahead, you little sweetheart. We're going to send you out there to get some information. You bring it on back to us. And I was like, girl, he is playing you. My goodness, you are lost.
Dude, by the way, I hate
Did I just nail that? Did I nail that?
You nailed it, but I'm so done.
I know.
With the puns in the vote out.
What was her thing today?
Chicken fried steak. It's corny.
I know. Julie's such a champ. Yo, can we just take a second to appreciate Julie?
Julie's the shit.
I love her. She is the queen of this show.
She is Big Brother.
Yeah.
That's why when people talk about replacing her, it's like, well, then cancel the show.
Done. Dude, I got to be honest with you. I will be violently less interested if Julie wasn't hosting the show.
She is Big Brother. But yeah, I mean, I get it. And in Jasmine's defense, I'm sure the producers are pumping her up like, hey, what's your thing going to be this week?
Totally.
And they're setting her up.
Yeah.
They're just I feel bad for it. It's not a good look. Yeah. I don't love it.
No. So next ones we have coming in, a little bit of movement here. This person has dropped because of the fallout that we've been seeing this week with the leftovers. Kyle comes in at number 8. He has dropped 2 spots. And the reason is because Kyle is just really, this is the clear reason of how a showmance can hurt your game. You have an alliance that is running the house, and you have a showmance that's outside of that alliance, and it is hurting your individual game. He is putting her, like, granted, I understood his points as to, there's no reason to put her up. We have 2 people on the block, whatever, which I totally agree with. But he should have just went along with it to put her up, because she is hurting his game so badly. And this little 10 seconds that he gets, and the back rubs and the makeouts that he's getting is literally going to be the detriment to his game. He is hurting himself so bad with his alliance that is absolutely crushing the game right now. And so Kyle slides down to number 8, which allows this person to move up 1 spot. Also,
before you do, we got to quote the great Tiffany Mitchell.
Oh yeah.
When the eggplant is hard, the heart is soft.
Going on a t-shirt.
Be ready for it. But he
put an eggplant and a heart in the comments if you made it to this point, and that's a t-shirt that you'd be interested in buying or buying for a friend.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Because I would.
We'll quote it again. When the eggplant is hard, the heart emoji is soft. It's all
Tiffany
going to be
Mitchell coming
emojis. We're
through.
not going to write eggplant in there. We're going to have the eggplant. So everybody
We'll
gets
have the
what we're talking
eggplant.
about here.
Yeah. I didn't want to get demonetized, so I wasn't going to say what they actually meant. But, I think most people got it.
So now we have Terrence coming in at number 7. He wins the HOH this week, so he's going to be the king of the outside castle. So he moves up a spot because ultimately I think that just saves him a week. But now it's going to be like, there's a lot of talk about, Taylor was saying it this week. Alyssa's a serious competitor. Alyssa has won nothing. And now Terrence goes from like being somebody who is not a competitor to, he's won something now. So now is he a competitor? Because isn't this great in Big Brother, right, bro? It's always like this person is such a serious competitor, like Joseph. He's a competitor. Joseph has won nothing, and he has not made it seem like he's throwing the competition. So, like, where's this competitor come into play?
Yeah, a lot of people don't perform well under stress.
Yeah,
and that is a very stressful situation when you're out there. And obviously, nobody's saying Joseph's not smart or physically capable of winning, but when you have moments to decide, it's amazing how some people step up and some people kind of fold. And so far, and that's why when we get to the top, it's like with the people like Michael, Michael's just the type of person that under the lights, he's a stud.
Yeah.
And so when you think about the idea of him being in a Final 4, Final 5, and only having to win 2 more comps to get there, good luck beating that. I wouldn't want to face him. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be difficult to do. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I agree with you on Terrence. He's kind of just a floater. I don't know if he's going to make like a big move this HOH because I truly don't believe he knows exactly what's going on in the house as far as the dynamic. I think he just he's water. He's trying to move with it and get from week to week. And that's it.
That was a good
little
one,
Bruce.
bro.
It's a Bruce Lee quote, buddy.
He's just water. He's just he's going up over the rocks, down in between the grass.
Not trying to make waves.
But you know what he's doing? He's helping things grow. That's what water does. I don't know what that was.
What?
Who says shit like that? Where does that even come from?
He's helping things grow. He's helping the environment, though.
That's Alyssa. Hey now. Ew.
Whoa.
Oh my God. We went there. Cheers to that.
This episode's off the rails.
No, man. This is what it's about, baby. This is what it's about. Terrence, so he moves up a spot. So that brings us to our next group who are just kind of in this middle group. So I think that's our 6, 5, and our 4. So you can take into that. Yeah.
So at 6, we have moving down a spot from previous week, Taylor. And that's mainly because our HOH wasn't that great. So Taylor was in a decent position. We all said we needed to see her in a position of power. She got it. And it wasn't a horrible HOH, but if that's a sign of things to come as far as decision making when it gets down to just a couple people and she has to make decisions for herself, it doesn't seem like she's going to be able to navigate that situation and make the right move. But we have seen people kind of evolve in the game and become excellent players as they progress. So Taylor's still in that middle pack where she's not out of the game yet. She can still win, but she's got to step up the intuition and make moves based on her gut. And once she makes them, stick with them. Because if you keep being indecisive, you're bound to make a mistake. On the next one, moving up 2 spots, we have Brittany. And Brittany is someone who is undoubtedly a super fan, hasn't really won anything, but I hate to say this, she's tied to the best player in the house, who is definitely her number 1 ally, and he is her number 1, and he sees her as his number 1 ally. So they're kind of a tandem, and he's going to do what he can to keep her there, which with the game he's playing actually does add value because he has the ability to manipulate the house and change someone from Brittany to someone else.
Yeah.
So that does help her. And I do think that if she's put in a position where she has to make a decision based on her experience with Big Brother and her knowledge of the game, I feel like she would make the right move.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see about that.
I think so. But it's like the same thing, like when you and I were playing together, like you were just in it. And so, but it's like, it's like the second time I played really, because the first time I was really young, but Brittany is older. She's more mature. And I can see her because she talks through a lot of stuff with Michael. Her and Michael are on the same page with a lot of different things. So I see her getting an opportunity. She's making the right decision. I just feel like these competitions, she may not be somebody that competes well under stress, like you said earlier. But if it comes down to it, Brittany is definitely going to make the right decision. I feel like she's a super fan, but she also is super aware of like where she is in the game. She doesn't view herself as this big competitive threat, but she is very involved. She felt herself on the outs, made herself feel on the ins. She kind of did it to herself early on with the girls by, saying something to Pooch, but Now she's in the game. She has a good grasp on the game, and she has
Yeah,
people
she has
that
good
really
pulse.
are playing for her. Yeah. She's
Got a good pulse on the game for sure.
Yeah.
And then finally, number 4, we got Monty. Monty, these guys are interchangeable. Monty gets a little bit of the nudge because he's capable of winning competitions. He's already won an HOH. And I feel like he's got a few people in there that would go to battle for him other than his just number one ally. I would even argue that he doesn't have a solid number one ally. I mean, would you say Joseph?
I would say Joseph is, but again, they're not showing a lot of their relationship. Joseph seems like he's all over the house, but Turner is really close with Monty. Turner is really close with Monty, but Turner obviously is going to do what's best for his own game. But Monty has Turner, Monty has Joseph. And again, he can win Kyle's himself. In the I think what they call that, the pound. Kyle's in there, but maybe Kyle. I don't know that Kyle would target Monty. Maybe he would. He's been talking a lot about it, especially in these past episodes.
Yeah.
And on the feed. So, I don't know. Monty could be somebody that everybody wants to build their resume to take out. They'll be like, oh, I want to build my resume. Let me take out a Monty instead of a Michael. That would really just seal your resume. But that's what'll happen to Monty, I think.
Yeah, it's possible. And we don't watch the feed, so we might be missing something. If we are, way down in the comments below. But also, if you want to get that more detailed update, as now's a good time to mention, Tiffany Mitchell coming to you guys Mondays and Wednesdays with live feed updates. She brings correspondents on who are watching, former house guests, people who are just live feed watchers and experts at that. So that's really what that show is. That's what she does, and she does an excellent job at it. Between Twitter and listening to Tiffany's show, that's how I keep my updates. So if you haven't checked it out already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're following us on any audio platform that you enjoy, because you're not only going to get our episodes, but you're going to get Tiffany's as well. That's 4 episodes coming to you every single week.
Yep. Love that, man. What a great plug, dude. God, it's like you practiced that.
I did. No, in the mirror. I just practiced. Let's hit us with this top 3. Let's get this. We haven't been drinking, I swear.
No, we just get excited to get on here and chat.
That's it. Although it is a late night for us. We're just a twisted tea, man. Just not a twisted tea, but Arnold Palmer. Just a regular.
Regular. I got water. Anyway. Yeah. Tomorrow though. Hey, no.
No. Oh my God.
Anyway, we're getting back into it. Back into it.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 3. With the 3. Dropped 2 spots. Was the reigning number 1. But he is now down 2 spots. I got to be honest with you. It was a lot this week for me with Joseph. And listen, Joseph's still my guy. I still am. I'm rooting for him to win. I mean, I shouldn't say I want Michael to win just because I feel like he deserves it. I wouldn't mind seeing Joseph win because he's trying to play. This week, Joseph got a little sloppy. Him putting himself on the block. Why would you do that? Why would you have an ally as an HOH? You're in that part of the game where it's shots could come at any moment. You are in the jury phase of the game. Somebody could be like, yeah, this is too good of an opportunity to pass. It's not week 2 when the alliance just formed. It is week 6. Do not put yourself on the block. Why you would do that shows an overcalculation of his place in the game, overconfident, when you get overconfident in the house, you tend to go home. And I didn't like seeing that from Joseph. So that's why for me, it felt justified that, Michael was going to jump back because, man, he just is impressive every single week. And we saw how good he did. But even somebody else jumped above Joseph. And so, I feel like that was justified to drop him 2 spots.
Yeah, listen, Joseph, you could be a good player, but overplay. And even with the jury kind of the speeches to the Indy as she got evicted, Joseph played it up hard. He was laying it on thick where he's like, baby girl, I wish you were here. And you know what? I'm going to try to win this for us. Now, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to convince Indy that him winning it, Big Brother is just like her winning it. I get that. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But what he didn't plan for is Michael coming in two people later and saying, boom, Joseph's in an alliance with me and you haven't been it the whole time. And it just makes Joseph look like an asshole, to be honest.
Straight up, that's like the Paul Abrahamian effect. Right?
Yeah.
He was doing that on season 19 and people were as people were coming
Josh Martinez.
As people were coming into the jury house, they were filling everybody in. It's like, no, Paul was doing this, Paul was doing that. And they're like, then why did he say that to me in his goodbye message? I didn't like that. I think I'm not voting for that.
Could hurt him. That could hurt him. The jury house could definitely make a difference where people start comparing notes and realizing you weren't really loyal to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that they would, they would respect a good game. But like you just said, you brought him up. Just ask Paul how that worked out.
Doesn't matter. Some people remember more how you made them feel and not the strategy that they're going to vote based off of.
That's right.
So
preach.
I'll take number 2, and then you can take a good old number 1, which will make it obvious, because it's just like it was just really impressive, man. It's just getting more and more impressive that you did that early on. But let's just not jinx it, because I think that would be so baller if you call 2 shots in 2 seasons in a row. Number 2 comes in with Turner. Turner is showing more and more that he is just under the radar, but extremely well positioned.
Dude, he was even under the radar to us.
Yeah, under the radar. Well, we had him at like 3 for the longest time.
I was saying the initial impressions for us, though, we're like,
yeah, but that's not really fair, because again, we let the social media mob crowd, make us feel some type of way about Turner before even like getting to see him in the show. And now he's
and he pronounced your name wrong.
What's up?
And he pronounced your name
wrong.
But
again, I say this. I think he was playing that up. He was trying to be funny. Like, as you can see, he's not. You're seeing that side of him. He's like the funny. He's a funny dude, man. So he was trying to be funny, which, you know what? We'll talk about it after. We'll talk about it when he gets out of the show, because I meant to give him one of the. Just kidding. Violence is not great, but I will find his shop in Massachusetts. He is not far.
Come up and visit me.
No, he seems like, he seems funny. He seems like somebody that would crack me up in the house. He's just funny. He's got that like dry sense of humor that's hilarious. Like his segments with Jasmine are great.
Yeah,
they're great.
No, they are.
But so anyway, needless to say, his gameplay is also really showing. Like, I loved what he did in that conversation around the pool table with Kyle. It was just like, Kyle's making all the points. I don't want Alyssa to go on the block because I have a great relationship with Alyssa. So why would I want her to go home? But Kyle's saying everything he needs to say. I don't need to jump in because I don't want to be viewed in a negative light. Brilliant. Like that.
Great self-awareness.
Subtle things, right? He's in. He's got the Pound Alliance, where I really think those guys will take care of him. He's obviously close with Alyssa. He has a good relationship with the other members of the Leftovers. Maybe not a great relationship, so he maybe needs to, start rubbing those relationships and giving that some attention. But I really think he's in a good position. I don't think people view him as a threat. So I could see him keep going.
I agree. A lot of people aren't really concerned about him right now, and that could end up biting him, because we'll have to see. He's already won an HOH, right? So he's definitely can win a competition. We'll see how it goes forward. That brings us to number 1. No surprise here. It's Michael. He's back where he needs to be. Yeah. We were concerned about the speech from Daniel last week that could affect his game, and surprisingly, it didn't. No one was really talking about it on the feeds. Didn't really see. It kind of just went over everyone's head. And he did win another competition tonight, and you might be thinking, well, that hurts him even more. But he kind of needed to win tonight. When it's a double eviction and you don't know how it's going to play out, you win and you pick up the pieces later if you have to. So he did need to win tonight to ensure his safety. And again, just to put it out there, it doesn't seem like people are too concerned with him winning these competitions. The only thing I'll say is, as the game progresses and we get down to 3 or 4 people, if those 3 or 4 people are people like a Joseph and a Turner and a Monty and a Brittany, even, I know that's his number 1, but a Brittany, people who are very self-aware of the game and have been fans for a long time, they know that in a final 2, if he's got 12 wins and they have 1, and he has a social game that he has, everyone likes him, there's no chance of them winning. So it will be a really cool thing to see what happens specifically from people like Brittany, where that's her number 1, but she knows the game. She'll tell you. She ain't beating Michael in the end if it continues this way. Aware. So it's going to come down to loyalty over strategy and also common sense. So we'll see how people like Turner. I think Turner would cut him. I think I don't know if Brittany would, but I think Turner would cut him. I think Joseph would cut him. I think Monty would cut him. Oh, yeah. If they get down to that point. Even Taylor. I think Taylor would cut him.
I think he's good with Taylor and Brittany up until like deep, maybe like final 3, because I think he's in a good situation with the 2 of them. They have a really good rapport. Like, I just feel like they speak freely in front of each other. Like Taylor takes what Michael has to say and like really like takes that in and listens to it. Same way Taylor has that with Joseph. But if Taylor has a better relationship with Joseph, maybe Joseph says, hey, listen, he's going to beat all of us at the end. And if Taylor's in a position to cut him, maybe she does.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that's going to hurt. But this week, I think you were so right. Like, I was torn when I watched him win the HOH, because I was really excited that he won because it made me know, okay, he's getting through it. But then I started thinking, I was like, is this bad for him? Like now this is his second HOH. He has 4 vetoes already. Are people going to be like, I cannot let this guy go any further? Because honestly, after this week, there's only going to be 8 house guests left. He's not going to be able to compete for the HOH. And if they don't get him out at that point, he's pretty much going to be playing in every veto.
Right. And he ain't going to throw him.
And he's not going to throw him at that point. He's going to be too far into the game. And he's going to, like we always say, right? You need a little bit of luck. Like one of the weeks, you need a Brittany to win the HOH. That's like, there's no way I'm targeting Michael. Put him into like that final 5, final 4 arena. And then I think he'll take the game. If Michael makes it to final 5, there's no way he loses. I don't think he loses. Not a chance.
I mean, you might not be wrong. And that's why he's our number 1. To kind of wrap this up, that's our hit list. We can go. Why don't you go through it 1 through 10 again? We'll throw the graphic up on the screen right here. Hit him with it.
All right. So our hit list is coming in at number 10, Alyssa. Jasmine at number 9. Kyle drops 2 spots to number 8. Terrence jumps a spot to number 7. Taylor drops 1 spot to number 6. Brittany jumps 2 to number 5. Monty is at number 4. He stays the same. Joseph comes in at number 3, dropping 2 spots. Turner jumps 1 spot to number 2. And Michael is back at the king of the castle at number 1. He jumps up 1 spot.
That's it. So you have it. And
that's our hit list. We're here. We're ready. And we're rocking. Let us know what you guys think of the hit list.
Absolutely. And just to wrap it up, big twist tonight. We kind of talked about it in the beginning. We can hit it quick in the end because we really don't know what's happening. I was just looking on Twitter to see what I could find. But ultimately, this is a big twist. It could switch up the house a little bit. I want to end on this question, and you guys can weigh off in the comments below. If you're HOH and you have first pick like Michael does, are you picking your number 1 ally or a person you want to target? What are you doing? Or are you picking someone in the middle? Because this decision could ultimately affect your course in this game.
Oh man, it's so tough. Like if I was in that situation and we were on 16, I would not pick you.
Interesting.
I would not have picked you with my first pick. Okay. So that's what I would have picked you, but I would not have picked you with my first pick.
What if they pick me on their first pick?
Then I know, okay, well, I'm the HOH. Derrick's in good graces over there because I would honestly, at this point, right?
Maybe I'm their number 1 target, though.
Yeah, but who's the other HOH?
Well, that's the thing, right? I guess if you're in there, like, if you know it's Terrence, then I guess you'd have to know who's Terrence going to target.
Yeah, it's hard to determine it based off of, just given, because like anything could be right. Like, would I pick you first? No. Would I pick you second? Yes. Depending if like somebody on the other team that like say Adani won the HOH over there, I'd be like, yeah, Derrick, I got to pick you first. Cause I would know you'd be in trouble if he was the HOH and you were going on the other side. All those factor into what's happening. And I don't think that Terrence is going to target Brittany. Or, you know what? But here's the thing is that Terrence has people in his ear where, like, say there's somebody on the other side that's like, hey, we can't get Michael. He's the HOH. Maybe Brittany's on this side. Maybe we go for Brittany. But honestly, bro, if I'm being 100% honest about this cast, I don't think any of them are at that level to be like, God, Michael's killing it. Brittany's his number 1. Obviously, they're super tight. Let's take out Brittany. I don't think anybody's thinking at that level.
I agree. They're definitely not thinking at that level.
I don't know what I would do. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't pick you first because I wouldn't want to be like, well, because you and I had such a good thing where it was like nobody thought you and I were each other's number 1. And if that would happen, everybody would have been like, wait a minute, what? There's 10 of us left. Why did Cody pick Derrick? So I wouldn't have done it. Unless, like I said earlier, Donnie was first, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of our seasons, like who I would have picked first. Like, would I pick Christine to be like, oh, this is my closest ally?
No, that would have ended well for you.
Well, it would have. I mean, it was she was going to get booed no matter what. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I was going to get booed.
True. For me, as much as I said, ooh, interesting when you said it, based on how the game's playing out right now, if I'm Michael, I'm not picking Brittany first. And the reason I'm not picking Brittany first is, yes, she's my number 1 ally. But do I need her to get to the end? And sorry, Brittany, I don't think Michael needs you to get to the end. So if I can afford to lose you without exposing myself, then that's what I'm doing. Because if I pick you, now I've shown my cards. And frankly, I didn't necessarily need you to get further in the game. So I'm rolling the dice. I'm not picking you first. If you're around on my second pick, yeah, maybe I take you. But I'm using my first pick to more than likely go after someone I know that I want to get out, and it's going to get as little blood on my hands as possible. So if I'm Michael and I have first pick, I'm picking Jasmine. That's who I'm picking. Or, you know what? Or I'm picking Alyssa. I'm picking one of those two. I might take Alyssa.
I genuinely think that he's gonna either pick Brittany or Taylor.
Okay.
I think he's
All right.
picking
So
Brittany or Taylor because Brittany only if he wants to throw it off the scent. But he had the choice, right? When he was picking Festy Besties, he literally picked Brittany. Now at that
yeah.
point, there was a different alliance that was working together. That was the alliance of Amira, Nicole, Alyssa, like the Kyle was in it, I think. Yeah. So that's why he
By the
picked
way,
her.
everyone knows they're tight too. We're making it seem like
Yeah.
it's you and I.
No,
Everyone
that's
knows
what
that
I'm
they're
trying to
each
say.
other's
It's
number
hard.
one.
That's what I'm trying to say. He picked her already.
Yeah.
Everybody knows they're tight. They're always sitting up there. You see them in conversations. Like, I think my first thought is he's picking Brittany, and if he doesn't pick Brittany, he's picking Taylor. But
Yeah, well, we'll see. Wait down in the comments. Don't cheat. Don't go look. If you're seeing this days later, then don't wait down because you already know the answer. But if you're listening to this or watching it and you don't know who we picked yet because you don't keep up on the feeds, weigh in the comments below. Let us know what you think. Be interesting to hear what your guys' opinions is. Or I should say, Jesus, Derrick, get your English correct.
I didn't hear anything wrong in that statement. That's so
Hey, any final thoughts, Code?
No, make sure that if you guys made it to this part of the episode and you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. We are growing at a great level. We're almost at 30,000
Not like an
subscribers.
eggplant, though. Not like an eggplant.
We were kind of growing like an eggplant.
Whoa.
I thought you were about to start singing there like, whoa.
No, I don't want to lose subscribers, bud.
No. They like that, man. They're like, whoa, I didn't know that Derrick could sing. Maybe they should
I'm
start
looking
a boy
right now.
band.
29.5. We're 500 away from 30 grand.
So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications. We have something that we're putting into the works for the end of this season that I think could be something incredible that I think a lot of people would enjoy. And as always, we're going to be doing a live for the finale. So make sure you guys have those notifications on just in case Derrick and I are hanging out one night and we're like, hey, that was a crazy episode. Do you want to jump on a live? Turn on those notifications so you guys are always seeing and we see all the comments. We appreciate how much you all weigh in on our videos, on Tiffany's videos. So we thank you so much for the support because we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys.
Very well said, Cody Calafieri. Guys, we appreciate you joining us here on the Winner Circle. We will see you next week.